Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel.
My name is Giggity. Real name is Mark. Did you think I was a droid for a second there? Did you think I was a Megatron's little assistant there? That remember the guy in the Transformers, that like the doctor guy that goes up on top of Sam and starts looking at him? Did you think I was one of them? Did you think I was him in that intro? You freaking idiot. I'm not him. I'm a human. Today we're not finishing, but continuing our series ranking every single gun in every single Call of Duty game from worst to best in chronological order. And obviously we just did Advanced Warfare last time, so that means today we are ranking all 61 Call of Duty Black Ops 3 guns from worst to best. This is now officially the highest amount of guns in any Call of Duty so far. Do I think it'll stay? I honestly do, except for maybe World War II. World War II had such a crazy amount of guns, but as of right now, it's 11 more than Modern Warfare 3. So that's obviously pretty cray. And it's obviously also is including all the DLC weapons. We're just ranking them based on personal preference, by the way. I'm not a professional or anything, so we're not ranking them based on their actual like performance or anything like that. And I'm not also ranking any of the grenades or melees, because those aren't guns, and I have a whole other video planned out for those anyways. Also, only weapons that are like usable in the campaign, or like kill streak holdable weapons or specialist weapons, they're not mentioned here either. It's just the multiplayer primary and secondaries, and we're splitting them up into 6 tiers: the awful tier, bad tier, average tier, good tier, amazing tier, and the best tier. Song of the day is called PIMP by 50 Cent. It is literally a certified hood classic. I guarantee you already know the song, but if you don't, go give it a listen. And really quickly, I know I already wasted a minute and a half of your time. I'm sorry, I'm so bad at rambling, guys. But really quickly before we get into this game, I wanted to mention something really quick. This is probably my most played Call of Duties multiplayer wise. I was Master Prestige in Black Ops 3. I love Black Ops 3. It is my favorite multiplayer Call of Duty of all time. I freaking love it. I love everything about it. However, with that being said, I never owned the vast majority of these DLC weapons, because for those who don't know, the only way to get DLC weapons in Black Ops 3 was through supply drops, and even if you did get them through a supply drop, you could get duplicates. You did not get any sort of salvage. You couldn't craft them like in other, like Infinite Warfare, or World War II, or Black Ops 4. You couldn't do that. It was just through the supply drops. You had to buy supply drops. I was a 16-year-old kid without a job at the time. I was not spending the very few dollars I did get on supply drops for Black Ops 3. And so I had a couple. I do believe all the guns I had were the Rift E9, the XMC, and I had one more. I'm going to have to refresh my memory once I get to it, but I can't remember it right now off the top of my head. But I had one more DLC weapon. I think it was an assault rifle, actually. But either way, yeah, I had 3 DLC weapons, but the thing is, I've played this game so much that I do know how good the other, DLC weapons are in comparison, even without having to use them, just because of the amount of time I've either seen them or picked them up off the ground. So I still, like I said, I still know what I'm talking about, but I do want to make it very obviously clear that I have not used every single one of these DLC weapons myself, because I don't want to lie to you guys. Without further ado, let's get right into it though, with number 61, the worst Call of Duty Black Ops 3 gun. And that is the L4 Siege. I don't have much to say about the L4 Siege, so really quickly, I just want to apologize, guys. I realized I just wasted 3 whole minutes on the intro. I have ADHD. It's not an excuse. It's not. It's a horrible excuse, but it's the reason. And so I have ADHD, and dude, sometimes I just ramble and I can't stop myself. And I feel like such an idiot after I'm done, because I'm like, they don't care. And so I really do apologize for wasting 3 minutes there. Either way, though, 61st, the worst gun in the game is L4 Siege. The reason why it's the worst gun in the game isn't because it's actually the worst gun in the game killing wise. It's because it's a DLC launcher, man. Who in God's name wants to get the L4 Siege in a supply drop? Nobody. Everybody that opened up the L4 Siege in a supply drop was like, are you kidding me? It was a big middle finger. You might as well have actually opened up the supply drop and had just a Call of Duty developer flipping you off instead of giving you the L4 Siege. That's how much of an insult it was. Breaking its way into the top 60, however, is, I guess, better the Black Cell. The only reason why I think the Black Cell is better is because at least you can just get it for free. You don't have to buy $700,000 worth of supply drops in order to get the Black Cell. You can just get the Black Cell. It's just a regular launcher in the game. It's this game's stinger, pretty much, for those who don't know. It's a lock-on launcher. Every COD has a lock-on launcher, and this is this game. So Black Cell is great at taking out kill streaks. I don't really use launchers ever, and if I am going to use them, it's definitely not to take down kill streaks. It's usually just to kill enemies because I want to like make them mad, and I'm not using the Black Cell for that, obviously. But it's better than the L4 Siege, because at least you don't have to buy it. Coming in at 59th place is what the China Lake should have been, the Max GL. It's a China Lake. Do you guys remember the Black Ops 1 China Lake? That's literally what it is. It's a remastered version of the China Lake. Now, the reason why it's still here at the number 59 spot, even though it's actually really good for a launcher, it's It's very good. I used to get demolished by this thing all the time, and I would actually want to reach through my monitor and strangle the 14-year-old kid that was on the other side of the monitor playing that game. I knew they were 14 years old every time too. No adult was using the max GL in Call of Duty. But either way, it was a really good weapon, and so that's the reason why I am putting it higher than the Black Cell. But the only big downside is, guess what? It's a supply drop weapon. Now, I'm not going to take away points a lot from most of the supply drop weapons, but when they're weapons like this, where they're like a launcher, yeah, I'm taking away points, because no one wants a freaking rocket launcher after opening $300 worth of supply drops and getting one DLC weapon and it's a rocket launcher. Like, that's just an insult, and that's the reason why it's this low. 58th place isn't much better. I've seen some people try and make it out to be like a really good gun. No, stop doing that, you big fibber. You're a big fibberoonie and cheese, because it's the NX Shadow Claws. I say Shadow Claws, but at first they're just one of them. You can dual wield them though after you can like unlock it as an attachment. For those who don't know, they pretty much are like full auto crossbows, I guess. They're weird. They're like small little crossbow with bolt shooting things. They one shot, which sounds good until you realize that they like have like a trajectory of like a real life crossbow. So it's actually very, very hard to hit enemies with the NX Shadow Claws, and so they're just not great. Coming in at 57th place is pretty much the same thing. Honestly, it probably deserves to be lower than the NX Shadow Claws, but it's just cooler in my opinion. The ballistic knives. The ballistic knife is a ballistic knife. You already know what the ballistic knife is. It's a DLC weapon in this game though. It's supply drop only. Again, another type of weapon where like if you get it in the supply drop, you're probably going to be pretty upset. You're not going to be too happy if you're getting the ballistic knife in the supply drop. I'm just like thinking about all the people out there that have like one day opened up a rare supply drop in freaking Black Ops 3 and they're like, oh my god, there's a gun, oh my god, I got it, and then it's the ballistic knife. Like, it just sucks, man. Coming in at 56th place, however, is going to the XM53. The XM53 is this game's just like RPG style, small style launcher. It's fine at taking down kill streaks, but this is like one of my favorite like launchers in the game in like Call of Duty history, because it's like not lock on only, but it can lock on. It's such a good alternative. It can lock on to kill streaks, which is awesome, but you could also just free fire this and just shoot enemies with it. It's like perfect. Like, why would you ever run the Black Cell? I understand the Black Cell locks on to kill streaks stronger and has a faster, like, it shoots faster or whatever, but like, who really cares? It's like a 0.2 second longer time period. I would just rather use the XM53. All right, coming in at number 55 spot. I was laughing at people before, but now I have to kind of cry a little bit because it's the DLC weapon I got, the Rift E9. Now, there are actually a little bit of a cult following behind the Rift E9 out there. There are people that love the Rift E9 and claim it's one of the best pistols in this game. To those people, I say, have you ever actually had the Rift E9 in your hands? Because no, it's not. I hate this thing. I hate it so much. It is not fun. Shooting those little balls is frustrating because they go at like 10 feet per second. By the time, like, you could shoot it, and by the time the guy, like, actually gets hit by it, he could have tucked in his daughter to sleep for first grade, and then also managed to go to her high school graduation before getting hit by it. It would have taken 18 years is what I'm trying to say. Coming in at 54th place is going to a weird one that I don't understand why they even added it into the game, especially when you consider there's a better version of this gun already. The MX Garand. Obviously, it's a play on the M1 Garand. They're saying it's a futuristic version of that gun. Well, the M1 Garand had this weird thing where you couldn't really reload it, I guess, without fully emptying the mag. And so the MX Garand stayed like that. Let me explain something to you, Call of Duty. That makes no sense, because it's a futuristic version of the gun. They would have obviously fixed that big problem. And so the MX Garand has this thing where, like, if you have 2 shots left in the mag, you have to just shoot them real quick and waste them so that you can reload, so that you have a chance of killing enemies, because you can't just reload it. And then it looks horrible. It's a semi-auto assault rifle. I hate this thing. Thank God I didn't get it. Coming in at 53rd place, however, is going to be going to the D13 Sector. The D13 Sector is a super, super fun gun, a super unique gun. Well, it was unique until a couple weeks ago when Black Ops 6 decided to add their own version of it into their game. It's not the same, Black Ops 6, okay? It's not the same as the D13 Sector from Black Ops 3. Either way, now I will say at least everybody gets a chance to use this weapon in Black Ops 6 nowadays, because obviously this was a DLC weapon that you could only get in supply drops back then. But yeah, for those who don't know, it was a disc shooting weapon, and a disc would bounce off walls. So if you ever knew there was like a couple enemies camping in one room and you shot a D13 Sector in there, chances are the disc would bounce around the room and kill like 3 enemies in one disc, and it was like actually super cool. But overall, is it like an actual like viable option to like get kill streaks with and stuff like that? No. Coming in at 52nd place, and the final one for the awful tier before we move along into the bad tier, is the M14. Yeah, this is the gun I was talking about earlier with the MX Garand, where I was like, there's just a better version of it. It's this. This is like, if you like the semi-auto World War II style, you know, rifles in these games, the M14 is just the better option, because people that like World War II setting weapons aren't going to want a futuristic version of a World War II setting weapon. And the people that like futuristic style weapons aren't going to want a single fire, you have to shoot all the bullets out of it to reload it rifle. And so that's why the MX Garand was so stupid. Now the M14 is still bad. I don't like it or anything like that. I've never really cared for the M14 in any Call of Duty, but at least it's like cool. Whereas the MX Garand was just not. But now we're into the bad tier. So guns in this tier and they're not great. I mean, pretty much every Black Ops 3 gun could be a viable option. That's the good thing about Black Ops 3 is pretty much any gun from here on out that you would get in a supply drop, you would still be happy to get it, you know what I mean? But you know, it's just not as great as some of the other ones. And so that's fine. 51st place though is the Pharaoh. The Pharaoh is like a 4-shot SMG burst gun that was just bad. It would shoot 4 shots out of 1 burst, but it barely killed in 4 shots half the time, no matter how close to them you were. It was a horrendous gun. You would have better luck just throwing this thing at them like a tomahawk. And breaking its way into the top 50 is one of the ugliest guns Call of Duty has ever created, the Shiva. Who in God's name was coming up with this design? It looks like a wart. It looks like, you know that game Turok where you were like a dinosaur hunter? That's what this looks like. It looks like if you like managed to somehow create a frog into a gun. You know what I mean? Like this is like a gun that Shrek would use or something. It just looks bad. And on top of that, it is bad. It's a single shot, you know, semi-auto assault rifle of the base game at least. Which is, I mean, I guess, you know, at least it's free. But goodness gracious, it's also an insult to zombies players too, because like we all remember the M14 being the first, you know, 500 points starting room weapon that everybody would go with, and then they kind of butchered it with the Shiva. Nobody bought the Shiva in COD Zombies. Everybody just bought the RK5. Coming in at the number 49 spot is a super cool weapon, but unfortunately I've heard very, very bad things about it. The RSA Interdiction. The RSA Interdiction is like a weird bullpup, but also like Magnum drum style, like revolver style reload sniper rifle that's bolt action. But it's a very, very bad bolt action sniper, apparently. Apparently everybody says that the RSA interdiction is a hit marker machine. And apparently that's pretty much how most of the DLC snipers were in this game, which is again a little bit of a letdown because sniper rifles are super cool. Obviously one of my very favorite ways of playing Call of Duty games are sniping. It's just super fun to play with snipers, but when they get hit markers, especially in a game like Black Ops 3, which didn't have aim assist for snipers, it's pretty much a like unviable option, and that's what the RSA interdiction was. Coming in at 48th place is just the same exact thing. Realistically, I heard the same amounts of complaints and reports about the Dragoon as I did about the RSA interdiction. It's another bolt action sniper. This was actually like one of the last guns added into Black Ops 3. It was added very late into its run cycle. I think it was added in 2019 actually, if I'm not mistaken, which is 3 years after Black Ops 3 came out. But that just goes to show how popular freaking Black Ops 3 was. Everybody was playing this game, and so they were still adding guns to it in freaking 2019. But either way, yeah, the Dragoon was it was just the same about the RSA interdiction as this one. It's just a hit fire or hit marker machine. I did hear that it aimed down sights a little bit faster though, and so that's why I put it one spot higher. Coming in at 47th place is going to the MR6. This is this game's, you know, base starting pistol, and it's fine for a starting pistol. I like pistols like the MR6. Pistols that are starting pistols in the game that aren't broken, that are just fine. Just viable sidearm options for the beginning of the game. That way you can actually be excited about unlocking new pistols. Like the problem with like having the base pistol, the starting pistol, be the most broken pistol in your class is now all you care about is unlocking new primaries. You don't care about unlocking new secondaries anymore as you level up, and it just makes it kind of like boring. You're just going to run that pistol the entire time. With the MR6 being the starting pistol, it's nice to have the RK5 to look forward to, in my personal, and even the LCAR9. Coming in at the number 46 spot is a gun that I never personally could get behind, but I'm sure there was a little bit of a community out there for them, and I respect you guys, man, but man, I do not understand your playstyle. It's the Gorgon. The Gorgon is a super slow firing but heavy hitting LMG in Black Ops 3 that looks really, really bad. It looks like if somebody like accidentally rolled it over with a pickup truck or something, but it looks bad. I do not mind. I will say one thing about this gun. I don't mind the iron sights. The iron sights are actually pretty good, but it looks bad. It fires slow. It's not a fun gun to use in my personal opinion at all. But again, there's definitely a certain playstyle out there for it. Coming in at 45th place is probably a little bit higher than you expected it to be because this gun is just bad. It's the DIY 11 Renovator. Yeah, it's the nail gun, for those who don't know. It's literally a nail gun, and you shoot nails out of it. And yes, it's as bad as it sounds. It's actually like shooting enemies with a nail gun. Like it's genuinely very similar to that. Imagine how good that would be in a war setting. That's how good it is in Black Ops 3. This is the type of gun where, again, you get it from the supply drop and you're pretty upset. The only reason why I'm saying it's a little bit higher than like the awful tier is because it's very unique, and when it came out, everybody was talking about it, and there was like a lot of hype behind this gun just because it is kind of cool with its uniqueness. But overall, actually using it and actually getting it in a supply drop, you're probably going to be pretty disappointed. Here it is. Okay, 44th place is the other DLC gun that I got on my account. And the bad part about this, guys, oh my goodness, I forgot to mention this. I got all these guns on my PlayStation account back in the day because I used to play PlayStation all the time. I had a PlayStation up until like 2019 when I ended up buying an Xbox, so I had to like pretty much restart. So I have like no DLC weapons on my new account. But either way, yeah, this is the other gun that I got. This is the other one that I had, the HG40. This is the one I was forgetting about. For those who don't know, it's an MP40 remastered. It's not good though. It shoots too slow for an SMG and does way too low of damage. Cool weapon, just not good. Coming in at 43rd place is what tried to be the KSG 2.0 but absolutely failed at it, the Argus. Yeah, I don't necessarily understand why you would ever use the Argus as a shotgun in Black Ops 3. There's just like every other shotgun option in this game is just so much better than the Argus. The Argus has such a low spread. It's like a slug round shotgun like the KSG was, but it's nowhere near as good as the KSG was. It's just got too low of range. It's very often it's just a hit marker, and then it's not even that cool. Like, they tried to make it seem cool, but it wasn't cool, Call of Duty. Okay, stop trying to make the Argus seem cool. I did not like this thing. I don't think many people did. Coming in at 42nd is a Infinite Warfare gun that accidentally slipped its way into Black Ops 3 somehow. The XR2. I don't... This gun just feels weird. I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks this, but every time I like use the XR2 in Black Ops 3, I'm always like, I don't understand why this gun is in this game. It reminds me of like the ARX 160 in Ghost. Like, the ARX 160 in Ghost does not belong in Ghost, clearly. It's not meant to be in that game. The XR2 is the same sense. This feels like a gun that astronauts would use. It's a 3-round burst assault rifle, and it's not bad, actually. It's really not horrible. But for a burst assault rifle, there's one in this game that is just like so much better that there's zero reason to use the XR2 at all. Coming in at 41st place, barely missing out on the top 40, is going to the LCAR-9. This is this game's full auto secondary pistol style weapon. And it's fine. It's fine. It's not as good as the Cap 40. It's not as good as the M93 Rafficas, even though the M93, I know the M93 Rafficas were, you know, 3-round bursts, but you know what I'm saying. It's not as good as the FMG9s, but it's fine. It's not horrible is what I'm trying to get at. It was an okay full auto sidearm. There is, unfortunately, though, one sidearm that is just so much better. And then on top of that, I don't know if I'm the only person that thinks this, but every time I use the LCAR-9, I just didn't feel cool using it. Like, I don't know, man. I know it's stupid to say, but this is why I said it's personal opinion. There are guns in these games where it's like, even if they are a little bit better than a different gun, that's not the LCAR-9 here, don't worry. It's not better than the RK5s. But even if it was a little bit better, I still probably wouldn't use it just because it doesn't, like, feel fun to use. Breaking its way into the top 40, and the final one for the bad tier before we get into the average tier is the LV8 Basilisk. The LV8 Basilisk, first of all, gives me PTSD because I play Souls games, and there's an enemy in those games called the Basilisk, which is pretty much the cursed frog, and it's horrendous. But it's also just not that great of an assault rifle. Another assault rifle where if you get it, you're probably gonna be pretty disappointed. First of all, it looks horrendously ugly. It looks like they just picked up like a Dutch table and started running around with that. But also, it has this weird thing about it where like you have to hold down the trigger for a couple seconds to let it like spool up, almost like a turbocharged Mitsubishi Evo 9. It's like it's not, and then it will finally start firing. And then it's like you would think, okay, well then that must mean it's really strong once it does start firing. Not really. not really. It's pretty average. Speaking of average, now we're into the average tier. So the guns in this tier are average in Black Ops 3, but a lot of them are actually pretty good in the grand scheme of Call of Duty games. 39th place is going to the Banshee. The Banshee is the shotgun version of the Rift E9 we talked about earlier. But I do think it's better. Its range is significantly better. It seems to shoot a whole lot faster. And then the Rift E9 is, again, it's just a secondary. It's like, this is a primary shotgun style thing. It's overall a very, very strong one-shot shotgun from pretty much any range. It's just, I'm not going to personally use this though. Again, I would much rather just use a regular old shotgun than this. Coming in at 38th place is actually like the only time in COD history I can remember where a sniper rifle that was just like a semi-auto, barely ever a one-shot hit sniper was actually kind of fun to use. The Draken, or the Drakon. It's pretty much this game's Dragunov, if I'm being honest, but it has no recoil, and it's more like a DMR than it is a sniper rifle. It's very, very fast firing, no recoil. It's incredible for zombies. It's pretty freaking decent for multiplayer. You do have to play like kind of a big old baby pants though if you want to do good with the Drakon. You're not sniping with this thing like you would snipe with a real life sniper, with a bolt action sniper. You are more like camping and like with an ELO sight on it rather than like the scope, and it's just kind of like not my style. Coming in at 37th place, I don't think this gun has ever been good in any Call of Duty. The Sten. every time like the Sten was in Advanced Warfare and it was not good in that game, and it was in Black Ops 3, it was not good in this game, and then it was in Infinite Warfare, it was not good in that game. The Sten is just not good in pretty much any COD. It was good in World at War though, which is the reason why it got remastered so many times, because they just kept thinking that people would buy a bunch of packs just because the Sten was in the packs and try and get them, and I'm sure that worked, but people that actually knew Call of Duty knew that the Sten was not great. It was a pretty average SMG in this game, and being average for an SMG is not good enough when a lot of the SMGs in Black Ops 3 were stupidly overpowered. Coming in at 36th place is another LMG where, again, I understand why they made it, and I understand there's probably a little bit of a community behind it, but it's not my style. The 48 Dredge. The 48 Dredge was a 6-round burst LMG, which sounds awesome, and in theory it is awesome, until you realize that it's just not fun to play with this thing. It's way too freaking heavy, and then 6-round bursting with an LMG is just not good. Like, the whole point of LMGs is that they have like 100 rounds, so you could just spray. You could just spray and pray. They have a lot of recoil, so you're gonna be spraying and praying. And the 48 Dredge with a 6-round burst makes it so that you can't spray and pray. Coming in at 35th is, yet again, just like the Weevil, another gun where it's an SMG that's pretty average in terms of its performance, but because it's average in terms of its performance, it's now a pretty bad SMG in the game. The Weevil. The Weevil is a cool gun. It's pretty much a remaster of the PDW 57 from Black Ops 2, almost a direct remaster actually. It reminds you a lot of the P90, you know, it has the mag on the top of it and everything like that. It's cool. But it just felt weak. It just felt really, really weak. It was one of the better ones at range. I'll give it that. Like, at range, yeah, you're going to want a Weevil in your hands. It didn't have that much recoil for an SMG, and it did some pretty good damage. But it just shot too slow for an SMG. Just like, kind of like the Sten. That's kind of the problem the Sten had. And the HD-40, actually. They're just too slow firing. Speaking of firing too slow, 34th place is the HLX-4, a DLC SMG that is exactly like the LV-8 Basilisk we talked about earlier, but the spool up time is significantly lower, and since the gun is just so much faster and you can run around with it faster, it's just overall a lot better than the Basilisk. But it's the same exact premise. You have to hold the trigger down for a little bit of time before the gun spools up. I keep saying car because spool is like a turbocharging thing, and that's what it reminds me of. It reminds me a lot of like a turbocharger. But yeah, it also looked cool. I did like the looks of the HLX-4. It was like a tiny little like menace of a gun. I thought that was kind of cool, but overall it was not great. 33rd place is another one of the DLC snipers in this game that were just a little bit too weak. The DBSR-50. The DBSR-50 is obviously supposed to be a remaster of the DBR-50 from DBR. Why does it not sound right? DSR, yeah, DSR-50, that sounds better. Okay, that didn't sound right at first. The DSR-50 from Black Ops 2, but they kind of butchered it. I don't know what they were doing here. This does not look anything like the DSR-50, and it doesn't remind me anything of the DSR-50. It's a double barrel like sniper rifle that's a bolt action, but it's only bolt action after you shoot 2 shots. So the 2 shots are kind of weak, and it very often gets a hit marker rather than a 1-shot kill, and then you cock it back. And it's like, that's kind of weird. It didn't really end up working well. And then on top of it all, it didn't look good. It looked, again, like another Shrek weapon, almost like a Shiva. Coming in at 32nd place, thank God this thing wasn't as broken as it was like day one, the Olympia. When the Olympia came out as a DLC weapon in Black Ops 3, pretty much everybody was like, yup, this thing is the most broken shotgun in the world. And then time went on and people stopped using it that much and started realizing it's not as broken as we thought at first. And again, thank God it wasn't, because we all know about how the 7.25 went in Modern Warfare 2019. And oh my God, if that was the case with the Olympia in Black Ops 3 and it was a DLC supply drop only weapon, the world would have been livid. Either way, the Olympia was still very strong for a shotgun. The big problem is in Black Ops 3, people can move so fast with the jetpack and stuff like that, and you only had 2 shots, so the vast majority of times people would miss, or they'd be too far away, and you would fail. Coming in at 31st place, barely missing out on the top 30 here, is going to the Razorback. This is the last SMG that you unlock in the base game, and it was really fine overall. I never really had a big... every time I used the Razorback, I wasn't like, yes, this is such an awesome gun, but I also wasn't like, oh man, I'm so disappointed in this. Every time I used it, I was just like, this is a good, okay weapon. I loved the iron sights of the Razorback, first of all, I will say that. It's a bullpup SMG, which is also pretty cool, but overall, it's just a pretty average SMG in this game. Breaking its way into the top 30 is another callback to Black Ops 2. There's actually a lot of guns in this game that are like direct callbacks to Black Ops 2, because this is the Peacekeeper Mark II. Obviously, it's a Mark II variant of the Peacekeeper from Black Ops 2. And it was overall an average assault rifle. This is exactly like what people were like, yeah, okay, that's, if you're gonna add guns like that into the supply drops, we're okay with it, you know, because it wasn't so overpowered to the point where like everybody had to have it, but it also was still pretty good for the people that did get it. It was a viable option, and they were happy to get that gun. Coming in at 29th place, in the final one for the average tier before we get into the good tier, is the HVK-30. The HVK-30 is it just always kind of fell flat on its face compared to any of the other base game assault rifles in this game. I just like, why would you, like, it's a good gun, but why would you use the HVK over the ICR or the KN-44 or the M8A7? Like, there's really no real point in using it. It was fine for what it wanted to do, but I don't know. It just kind of, again, fell flat on its face. Also, it was one of the weirder ones with the camos. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but putting camouflages on the HVK-30 always made it look weird, because there'd be these little brown patches here and there, because it never filled up all the gun. So the camo would like only be on some parts of the gun, and it would look awful. Alrighty, now we are into the good tier. So guns in this tier are just overall pretty good in Black Ops 3 and pretty good in the grand scheme of Call of Duty games as well. 28th place is the RK5. This is the best, in my opinion, base game secondary in the game. There are some DLC secondaries that are definitely better than it, but for a base game, it was great. It was a 3-round burst pistol that looked really cool, first of all. I know that sounds stupid, but it did. The RK5 looked awesome. It looked like such a cool little pistol. And it was really good for zombies as well. It was just overall very, very satisfying to use too. I love that little when you shot the RK5. It was just such a satisfying little sound. Coming in at 27th place is, in my opinion, a very forgotten about, slept on sniper in Call of Duty history, the P06. The P06 is kind of similar to like the HLX4 and LV8 Basilisk we talked about earlier, where like when you actually press the trigger, it doesn't automatically shoot the shot out of it. And as a sniper rifle, that obviously sounds pretty bad. But it did this, it made up for it by doing this like weird like build up. It would go like, and then it would shoot, but it would shoot 3 shots. And almost any time that one of those shots would hit, it would kill. And so it was actually a very, very strong weapon in my opinion. It felt really good to use every time. Now I will say the one bad thing about it though is it looked weird. It looked really bad. It looked like a 3D printed gun. Speaking of guns that looked like a 3D printed gun, actually, 26th place is the R70 Ajax, another very boxy, squared off, almost looks like Borderlands style or like Fallout style guns. The R70 Ajax was fine though. It was another, I believe this gun, wasn't this one's like weird thing that it printed its own ammo? Isn't that the R70 Ajax's like quirk about it? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. Either way, I don't know, but every time that you play Black Ops 3 in 2025, there actually is a significant number of people using the R70 Ajax, and that's a good thing. I mean, people like this gun. It's forgotten for sure, but it's okay for an LMG. Coming in at 25th place is this game's pump action shotgun that feels like such a good pump action shotgun, the KRM 262, or was it the 762? No, it was a 262. Yeah, 262. The KRM 262 again was this game's Remington style, just pump action R870 MCS from Black Ops 2 style pump action shotgun. And again, every time using the KRM in this game, you just felt like it was a consistent one shot at close range, but it wasn't so broken to the point where you could like snipe people from across the map. It was a good shotgun to use, but wasn't like so freaking frustrating to go against, and that's obviously a good thing. We will see later on in this list that there are a couple shotguns where they were very frustrating to go against in Black Ops 3, and the KRM was not one of them. Coming in at 24th place is another DLC LMG that was pretty freaking good, and honestly, I'm very happy it was good because I love this gun. The RPK. The RPK is such an iconic freaking Call of Duty gun, man. I love the RPK. It's one of my favorite LMGs ever made. I just love everything about it. I think they're so super cool looking weapons, and in this game, it was super strong for an LMG. It was unfortunately obviously DLC only, and so, you know, it made me a little bit sad every once in a while whenever I see somebody else using it and I couldn't use it, but it was very, very strong and a very, very good LMG. It wasn't stupidly overpowered, and I do think that the base game LMGs were still a little bit better than this, but it was good enough. Coming in at the number 23 spot, number 23, Lars, number 23 is the KN-44, or this game's AK-47, pretty much. Although, didn't they add an AK-47, or am I smoking crack? I think I'm smoking crack, actually. Take that back. I take that back. They did not add an AK-47. I was thinking about the other gun, which you haven't gone over yet. But either way, yeah, the KN-44 was this game's AK. It was pretty freaking good. It's one of the better guns in zombies, in my opinion, because you can just buy ammo for it off the wall. You don't have to wait for a mystery box roll. It had great iron sights, pretty much no recoil, super strong, looked good. Good gun. Love it. Coming in at 22nd place, however, is going to the Galil, or what me and my friends used to call it, the Gale. And then I remember, dude, we all used to call it the Gale back in Black Ops 1. And then I remember watching YouTube videos when I got older about, like, you know, just ranking Call of Duty videos. It was probably Chaos. It was probably Chaos's videos. I would watch his videos ranking guns, and he would call it the Galil, and I was always like, wait, what? We were calling it wrong this whole time. And so I don't know how you're supposed to pronounce it, but either way, you know what I'm talking about. It's an iconic gun. Love the iron sights on these guns. It's pretty strong. I love the fact that the Galil has never been so freaking brokenly overpowered, because that means that everybody that thinks of the Galil always thinks of it in such a good light. Like, nobody thinks of the Galil as a bad, annoying gun to play against or anything. They always just think of it as a nice, fun gun. Barely missing out on the old top 20 location, however, coming in at the number 21 spot is the BRM. The BRM is just the in my opinion, probably the most like well-rounded overall LMG in this game. The only big downside to it is it looks so weird. It reminds me of like a freaking big old lady or something. It feels like I'm holding a somebody named like Mrs. It looks like I'm holding Mrs. Puff, actually, Mrs. Puff in my hands. The BRM is overall still pretty good though for an LMG. The LMGs in Black Ops 3 were actually pretty decent compared to the LMGs in other Call of Duties, which is actually a really good thing to see. But am I going to use the BRM over any of the other like overpowered assault rifles and SMGs? Probably not. Breaking its way into the top 20, however, is a sidearm DLC gun that broke the internet when these things came out, dude. Everybody was talking about these things, and they were good, so it makes sense why people were talking about them, but goodness gracious, everybody loved them. The Marshall 16s. For those who don't know, the Marshall 16s were these dual wield, I mean, you didn't have to dual wield them, but everybody was dual wielding them. Dual wield shotgun style pistols with one shot in the mag, but they would almost always one-shot people, and it could get real. If you were playing up against somebody that had these that was good enough with them, it was really annoying to play against them because they would just fly up to you, pump you real quick, reload their gun in 2 seconds, and pump the next player. It was a little frustrating. Coming in at the number 19 spot, though, is the only DLC sniper rifle in this game that I actually think is, like, really cool, and it's really unfortunate I never got it in any of my packs or anything. The XPR-50. The XPR-50, man, is just... It's cool. It's just like the XPR-50 from Black Ops 2, obviously, and it's fun. These are the type of semi-auto snipers that people like. The semi-auto snipers that are like Barrett 50 cals that almost always one shot and you feel fun using it. That's what we like in these games, and that's what the XPR-50 is. It's just, again, a little unfortunate that it is a supply drop only sniper, but it's really, really cool. At least it's something to work towards, I guess. I really hope I one day can get an XPR-50 on my Black Ops 3. 18th place, man. Another super strong zombies weapon that's also pretty freaking strong in multiplayer, actually. The Haymaker 12. The Haymaker 12 was stupidly good, but luckily for us, nobody really used it because of its other, counterpart there that everybody knows is coming eventually. That was just so overpowered. Because the Haymaker 12 was very, very good. It was a very good shotgun in these games. It just didn't perform well enough against the other shotgun, and so nobody ever really used it, but it was great, and especially for zombies players too. I'm sure zombies players all know the Haymaker 12 because it was just broken in that game mode, better than the other one actually in zombies. However, coming in at the number 17 spot, and the final one for the good tier before we get into the amazing tier, is actually the only gun that I have gold on my Xbox Black Ops 3 account right now, the ICR-1. The ICR-1 is this game's M4, and it is exactly like every other M4. Pretty freaking good for an assault rifle, but not so overly powered that you're like dying to use it. It is good. It has incredible iron sights. I'll give it that. The iron sights are literally just like a straight up line. It's exactly what you would want for iron sights. So the iron sights are great. It looks good. It hits pretty good. It's a good gun overall, but it's not going to be breaking any records. Alrighty, lads. Now we are into the amazing tier. So the guns in this tier, yeah, they're pretty free. I mean, if they were in like any other Call of Duty, they would have absolutely dominated. 16th place is the Vesper. The Vesper is this game's fast-firing, super rapid-fire SMG that you got to use super up close, except you don't. That was the slight problem with the Vesper at first. At first, the Vesper was so overpowered. It ended up getting nerfed a little bit, but it's still super broken. But yeah, at first, dude, you could literally like cross-map people with the Vesper in like 2 to 3 shots, and it would shoot at like 7,000 rounds per minute. It was absolutely overpowered. It's still super good, but not as great as it was when it first launched. Coming in at the number 15 spot is, in my opinion, an actually really, really good remaster to the original. The KVK 99 meters, I want to say, but it's just 99M, which is the AN94 remastered, obviously, for Black Ops 3. And yeah, it's, again, I think it's actually a really, really good remaster. Every time I go up against the KVK, I don't feel like I'm at a disadvantage. I don't feel like they have some major advancement over me, and that's a good thing. Like, again, that's another thing I do like about Black Ops 3. Even though Black Ops 3 has a stupid freaking supply drop system where if you want to use a gun, you got to get it in the supply drop. That's annoying, obviously. But the one thing I will say is, even though there are super broken guns in some of those supply drops, there are base game guns in this game that can still outperform the KVK. Like 14th place, as a matter of fact, the Dingo. The Dingo is, in my opinion, the best LMG in this game and one of the best LMGs in Call of Duty history. It is actually so insanely good, and that makes me really happy because I like using good LMGs. Like, people probably think There's a bug on my screen. People probably think that I hate LMGs because of my ranking videos, because they almost always never make it into like the best tier. And even in this one, it didn't make it into the best tier. However, I do like LMGs. It's just that the vast majority of the time, the way that you have to use LMGs is not my personal playstyle. The Dingo, though, feels like an AR style like LMG, and it has great iron sights. Like, you don't have to put a sight on it, which is cannot be said for a lot of LMGs. A lot of LMGs, you have to put a sight on it. The Dingo is great, and it's also great in zombies. Coming in at 13th place is just so satisfying. I don't even know if it's actually as good as I put it, but it's just such a satisfying gun to use. Every time you get a kill with this gun, it just feels like Black Ops 3. Like, it screams Black Ops 3. It's the Man-O-War. The Man-O-War is like a pretty slow-firing assault rifle that feels like you're just shooting a semi-truck at them, dude. It feels like you're shooting a Kenworth at these bad boys. It's awesome. Every time you shoot the Man-O-War, you get one more centimeter of pubic hair. It's a great time. It's such a strong assault rifle is pretty much what I'm trying to say. And it's also, it feels the same way in zombies too. Like, taking heads off with the Man-O-War in zombies is so satisfying. Coming in at 12th place, however, is going to another very satisfying gun. And this one is one of the type of, like, this is the thing, another reason why I don't necessarily mind. Okay, like, obviously I do mind DLC weapons in Black Ops 3 being in supply drops. Obviously, I mentioned that multiple times. But this is one of the guns where it's like, so many people have it and so many people use it that you'll probably be able to pick it up in most of your lobbies anyways. It's the FFAR. The FFAR is a remaster to the FAMAS. In my opinion, it's a little bit of a disservice to the FAMAS, actually. I think the original FAMAS is just so much cooler than this gun is, but it's still really, really strong. It shoots very fast, just like the regular FAMAS does. It's a bullpup weapon, just like the regular FAMAS does. It's a decent, like, remaster. It just doesn't feel the same as the original FAMAS. Barely missing out on the top 10 locations. Coming in at the number 11 spot is another DLC weapon, the AK-74U. Now we're getting into the DLC weapons where it's like, yeah, if you open this in a supply drop, you're literally like taking a picture of it, sending it to your friends, jumping up and down, freaking going and telling your teacher about it at school. At least I was a 16-year-old back then. Nowadays, I would probably just be like, yes, let's go, and then be like, oh man, I am such a loser. I'm 24 years old and excited about getting a gun in a supply drop in Call of Duty. But either way, it's the AK-74U, man. The AK-74U is just as good as it was back in Black Ops 1. It's a great remaster. I love it. It's really good. It's fun in zombies to use. It's not great in zombies, but it's fun to use, and it's fun in multiplayer to use. Breaking its way into the old top 10 location, however, is going to the CUDA. See, this is what I mean. There are guns, base game guns in this game where, even though, yes, the AK-74U is a very, very strong SMG that's a supply drop weapon, you can still use the CUDA and get away with it very, very easily. It's very, very strong. And this game's pretty much MP5. I know it's not actually similar to the MP5 in many ways, but in my opinion, I always kind of thought of the CUDA as the MP5, and it feels like an MP5, exactly how an MP5 feels. It's a very, very satisfying SMG to use as well. Like, there is another SMG, a base game SMG, that I do think is better than this gun, and we'll obviously get into that. Chances are you already know what that is, actually, if you know Call of Duty, but I just felt like every time I used the CUDA, it felt a little bit more satisfying than using that gun. However, coming in at 9th place in the final one for the amazing tier, before we get into the best tier, is such a good sniper, and it hurts that it has never been remastered, the SVG 100. I get why it's never been remastered. It's super futuristic. The way this gun cocks back, it's literally like it's like a lizard scales moving or something. It looks super cool though. I really like it. And this is, every Call of Duty pretty much has those snipers where one of them is a bolt action sniper that's super heavy and hits like a truck. It almost always is a one shot. And then they have that other bolt action sniper, which is a little bit faster, but sometimes you'll get hit markers with it. Usually the faster one is the better one, but the SVG 100 in this game is the slow one, and it just hits like a truck. It felt so freaking satisfying to get sniper kills with it, especially with a thermal scope for some reason. A thermal scope on the SVG was just peak. All right, but now we are into the best tier, and there are 8 guns in this tier. I think this is the most in any best tier so far for any of the Call of Duties, because there truly are, like, all 8 of these are viable options that you can get away with and do very, very good with. Like, even though this one's 8th place, you could probably outgun somebody with the first place weapon with this gun, and it's the 1911. The 1911 is the best secondary in Black Ops 3 and probably one of the best secondaries in Call of Duty history from Black Ops 3, at least. The other 1911's not as much, but in Black Ops 3 this thing could two-shot at pretty much any range with almost no recoil, and it was as fast as, you know, a pistol is. So you were running around with a super fast pistol that was two-shotting enemies from like anywhere. It was broken, and it was actually one of the type of guns where people were annoyed about it when it first got launched, because again, it's a supply drop only weapon. And coming in at 7th place is the first time that I truly believe they actually gave the M16 its rite of passage back because it's the M16. The M16 in this game, first of all, looked really cool because it had like a playing card in the stock, which is just like so cool. It screams like Cold War setting and Vietnam War setting stuff. But yeah, for those who don't know, the COD 4 M16 was absolutely broken. They brought back the M16 in pretty much every single Call of Duty after that, and never once did it really reach the full potential that the COD 4 did, except for I truly believe in Black Ops 3 it almost did. It was definitely not as great as the COD 4 version, but it was one bursting opponents at almost any range pretty much all the time. And 6th place is, in my opinion, the best sniper rifle in all of Black Ops 3, without a doubt, the Locust. Now, unfortunately, in Black Ops 3, sniping was super freaking satisfying. It was unbelievably satisfying and one of the most fun ways of playing that game, because of the fact that because of the reason what that also brought it down, if that makes any sense. The fact that snipers didn't have aim assist. The fact that snipers didn't have aim assist made it so much harder to use snipers, which made it also in turn be so much more satisfying when you actually got a kill with a sniper in Black Ops 3. Because again, you had to really work for it. It was truly your skill that got you that kill. But at the same time, that also unfortunately brought down sniping in a little bit in Black Ops 3 because people didn't like that, obviously. This is also the point of the video where I should probably mention that I know, technically speaking, yes, the vast majority of us, myself included, aren't good with snipers, where it's not. And 99% of people are going to get a better KD with any other gun in the game than sniper rifles. Like, realistically speaking, you're probably going to get a better KD with the HVK 30 than you would with a Locust. But this is why I say it's personal preference, because everybody obviously knows that, like, having fun is the grand scheme of playing Call of Duty. Like, not every one of us are trying to be competitive players. A lot of us just want to have fun, and that's where bolt action snipers like the Locust come into play. However, breaking its way into the top 5, and at this point, literally any of the guns from here on out are extremely viable options. They're separated by a freaking nipple hair, an areola hair, because 5th place is the PPSH. Unbelievably strong gun in Black Ops 3, dude. It had an 80 round mag, I want to say, maybe 70. Enough rounds. It shot at like 7 million rounds per minute with almost like no recoil on it, and it looked awesome. It was just overall so good. The PPSH was so freaking good. If you opened up PPSH in a supply drop in Black Ops 3, you were over the moon. But this is what I mean about how, like, a lot of the guns in Black Ops 3, even though, yes, they had super strong supply drop weapons, there were base game weapons that I still believe were just stronger. 4th place is the VMP. And maybe the reason why I think that the VMP is stronger than the PPSH is because, you know, I only see people using the VMP since it's very rare to actually get the PPSH. And maybe that's the reason why. But I don't think so. I really think the VMP is just that strong. The VMP was unbelievably broken. It was also a pretty cool weapon too. It looked really cool. I did say before, though, I do think that using the Kuda was more satisfying. It just felt better for some reason. But the VMP was a very good looking gun, good iron sights, and it was unbelievably overpowered in this game. It was overpowered, got nerfed, and was still overpowered. Coming in at 3rd place, however, is another gun that was overpowered, got nerfed, and was still overpowered. The 4-round burst M8A7. An absolutely great callback to the MAA1 from Black Ops 2. The MAA1 in Black Ops 2, a lot of people say was super strong and super broken or whatever. I never really thought it was, if I'm being honest. I always kind of thought it was like mid. It never felt that great. But the MAA7, yeah, I get what people are saying with that gun. That gun is truly as broken as people say it is. The MAA7 is just a super strong one burst assault rifle in this game, and yeah, and it's a good thing it is, because again, it gives players a alternative if they don't have any of the strong DLC assault rifles. But here it is, 2nd place, probably one of the most hated guns in Call of Duty history, the 205 Brecci, or Brecci. Some people call it the Brecci, I call it the Brecci. It was unbelievable. This gun was literally just point and shoot and you killed enemies all the time. It had insane range for a shotgun. It was semi-auto with most of the time one shot, though. You didn't need the rest of the shots half the time with the Brecci. If you did need the rest of the shots, it was 1 or 2 maybe more shots before you were killing them. It required almost no skill to use this gun, and it will go down in history as one of the most broken shotguns in Call of Duty history. It is still to this day over freaking powered, and it's both a good and bad thing. It's good because it's not a DLC weapon, it's not a supply drop weapon, which is great, but it's bad because it's a freaking shotgun, and people hate shotguns in COD history because they say that they take no skill. But 1st place, in my opinion, the best gun in all of Call of Duty Black Ops 3 is unfortunately a supply drop weapon, but is fortunately one of the only supply drop weapons that I actually managed to get, thank God, because this thing is unbelievable. The XMC. The XMC is obviously a remaster of the MSMC from Black Ops 2, and the MSMC in Black Ops 2 was already overpowered. In Black Ops 3, this thing is a truck. This thing, I don't even understand how to describe it. There's like, you really can't describe it because there's no real reason why it's so strong. It doesn't have an insane fire rate. It doesn't have like no recoil. It doesn't have like a great amount of ammo in the magazine. It doesn't have like insane damage, but for some reason it is just a consistent like 2 to 3 shot SMG at almost any range with some of the best handling in the game. It is truly unbelievably good. It is so overpowered. Now, it is a supply drop weapon, so it does kind of suck for most people, but I don't care because guess what? I got it. Okay, I got this gun and I am so happy I do. Well, I did. I don't have a freaking PlayStation anymore. I had it when I used to play Black Ops 3. I really want to get it again though. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video ranking all 61 Call of Duty Black Ops 3 guns from worst to best. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like this. Let me know what other videos I'd see in the comment section down below. In the description is going to be links to all my other social medias and channels. If you want to go check those out, feel free. Obviously, the next video is going to be ranking all the guns in Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. But I will say right now, before we even get to that video, that I played barely any of Infinite Warfare. However, I have been recently playing in its prime. However, I have been recently playing it a little bit as of like recent. I went from like level 0 on my because I'm trying to get all my accounts leveled up right now because I want to do like more live style videos and like, you know, using certain guns, like kind of like T-Dog Smitty or Fortunate or something like that in older Call of Duties. But unfortunately, when I made the change to Xbox, obviously I lost all my progress on all old Call of Duties, and I have never really played any of them since 2019. And so almost all of them are like level 1s. And so I've been trying to really quickly like level them all up. And so I have been playing a little bit of Infinite Warfare since then. And so I do have a little bit of an idea of some of the stronger weapons in Infinite Warfare now, which is actually a good thing because like I said, back in the day, Infinite Warfare was just not my game. I was playing Modern Warfare Remastered like literally everybody else. So I really didn't have too much time in Infinite Warfare. So it's kind of a good thing that I get to play it now and see which ones are better and which ones are worse. Spoiler alert, sniping in that game was just like Black Ops 3, not that great, but a little bit satisfying. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. That will be the next one. But yeah, again, just keep in mind that some of those guns in Infinite Warfare, I won't be able to talk too greatly about. It's gonna get even worse though before it gets better, if I'm being honest, because then after that it's going to be World War II, and there are a lot of guns in World War II that I have never used because there are an insane amount of DLC guns in that game, and I really didn't play that much World War II either, so it's not like I can say, oh yeah, everybody was using this gun when I don't know if everybody was using that gun. So that one's gonna be super hard. I'm probably gonna have to like watch somebody else's video to see what they're saying and what the community's agreeing with in the comments and stuff like that, because World War II, yeah, that's one of my least played CODs, and there's one of the most amount of guns in any Call of Duty in that one. But then it will get better because Black Ops 4 and so on, I've played a lot of those, so except for Vanguard. But anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you guys enjoyed. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.